When you play a Pokemon game, what do you most enjoy doing? Some might say exploring the vast regions and collecting rare, cute, or sometimes shiny Pokemon, but some people would point out Pokemon's main mechanic, battling, as their favorite part about the games. But what does it take to be able to hang with the best of the best? Well, the obvious answer is some strong Pokemon. In Minecraft's hottest new mod, Cobblemon, there is a heavy emphasis on battling and obtaining strong Pokemon. But how do we know which Pokemon are the best of the best in Cobblemon's currently limited pool of Pokemon? Well, you beautiful, gorgeous, kind, and might I say amazing smelling viewer, I'm glad you asked. We find out the strongest Pokemon by, well, trying them out. Recently on my Cobblemon server, which you should totally check out, especially if you love Pokemon battles in the form of gym challenges and organized tournaments, we held a tournament to see who was the best of the best. Members of my Discord community and I got together to come up with our picks for some of the strongest Pokemon Cobblemon has to offer, and how to use these Pokemon to your advantage to destroy your competition and take home a win in any fight. My name is EYRIE, and these are the strongest Pokemon you can use in Cobblemon. Disclaimer before the list, this video only features Pokemon in Cobblemon 1.4 and may exclude some powerhouses. Let me know in the comments if I missed your favorites. I'll be dividing this video into 3 sections: your setup and utility Pokemon, your defensive Pokemon, and your offensive Pokemon. First, let's get into the setup and utility mons. First up is Shedinja. Shedinja is an extremely gimmicky setup Pokemon because it only has 1 HP, but it can only be hurt by super effective moves thanks to its ability, Wonder Guard. The main appeal of having a Shedinja on your team is being able to Swords Dance or Agility, then Baton Pass to one of your stronger Pokemon to sweep your opponent's team. But you can also put an offensive move on Shedinja like Shadow Sneak, so if your opponent does not have an answer to take out Shedinja, you can just sweep with that, even though that's very unlikely. I'd recommend putting heavy duty boots on your Shedinja, so when you switch back to it, you won't be knocked out by your opponent's hazards. Train it to be fast and hit physically hard. Shedinja is the ultimate gambler's Pokemon. Only use it if you're prepared to have it be useless in some battles. Corvus and Huntail are some very, very niche picks, but seem to have a very comfortable spot in Cobblemon's meta right now. Their main appeal is being 2 of the best Pokemon that can learn both Shell Smash and Baton Pass. Shell Smash is an awesome move that sharply increases your attack, special attack, and speed at the cost of both of your defensive stats being lowered. However, there's an item out there called the White Herb that negates these stat drops, meaning you can Baton Pass the insane buffs you get to any Pokemon on your team at no cost to your defense. You have to be careful because these Pokemon are rather frail, so make sure you can afford to take at least 2 turns to use it. If you're worried about the Huntail or Corvus dying, maybe put a Sash or a type-resistant berry on it to ensure your sweepers get the love they need. A lot of you battle-hardened singles battlers won't be surprised to see Glimmora here. Glimmora may be one of the best Pokemon ever at getting hazards down on your opponent's team, while also having the move Mortal Spin, which removes hazards for your team. You'll want to set up Stealth Rocks on your opponent's size, then let your Glimmora get hit by an opponent's physical move twice. Thanks to its ability Toxic Debris, it will drop a layer of Toxic Spikes for each physical hit you take, so having a Focus Sash on it will be a great idea. A very uncommon and unconventional choice comes in the form of Masquerain. Masquerain is another great support Pokemon that will set up your sweepers like it's nobody's business. Using its primary ability, Intimidate, will lower an opponent's attack stat on switch-in, allowing Masquerain to shine. Start by using Sticky Web. This move sets up a hazard that lowers your opponent's speed on switch-in. Next, use Quiver Dance to raise your special attack, special defense, and speed. Then, Baton Pass into your best special attacker to sweep your opponent. Masquerain, while niche, is a great check for your opponents. If they can't take this bug flying type down in 2 moves, they'll most likely lose the fight. The last support Pokemon is probably the most niche one yet, Pelipper. The main reason to have a Pelipper on your team is its ability Drizzle, which upon sending it out, will cause it to rain. This can be good for Pokemon with abilities like Rain Dish or Swift Sim, as well as strengthening water type moves and weakening your opponent's fire type moves. Teaching it Tailwind can also give a speed boost to your whole team for a few turns. Again, only use Pelipper if the rain is going to benefit you more than it would your opponent. Now let's get into our defensive Pokemon. First up is my main man, Clodsire. Clodsire is a really good roadblock to your opponent thanks to its bulk. It can shut down your opponent's sweepers with tempo moves like Yawn and Toxic, And if you're able to use it, Toxic Spikes is also a great option to poison your opponent's entire team if they can't handle it. Lastly, I'd put Earthquake on this guy to hit hard and put leftovers on it so it lives longer. Garganacl is the most Minecraft looking Pokemon ever. It also comes as an essential defensive pick for most teams. Firstly, some of the strongest Pokemon in the meta are water and steel types, which means Salt Cure is going to do a lot of damage over time. Garganacl also has the ability to set up Stealth Rocks, live long with Recover, and hit pretty hard with moves like Earthquake. Give it some leftovers to last long and watch your opponent struggle to take it out. Corviknight is a beast. Not only is it extremely bulky, but it also can hit pretty hard. Make it hit hard and live long with moves like Roost, Iron Defense, and Brave Bird. Give it Defog to deal with any tricks your opponent might set up too. Giving Corviknight a Rocky Helm will do some chip damage on any physical moves you're hit by, which means because of your bulk, you'll be dishing out massive damage without even needing to attack. Slowking is another amazing bulky Pokemon with a very interesting moveset. Give it Slack Off to heal, Surf to deal damage, and Yawn to disrupt your opponents. Giving Slowking leftovers will also help it live longer, but the real appeal of this Pokemon is to set up Snow using Chilly Reception. This move will set up Snow and allow you to switch into another Pokemon, which sets us up for EYRIE. EYRIE is a very, very good Pokemon to use when you have a Pokemon that can set up Hail or Snow. The play is to have your EYRIE out before the setup mod like Slowking, let it lose its Ice Face, switch to your setup mon, set up Snow or Hail with that Pokemon, then switch back to EYRIE to get your Ice Face back again. Then set up the opposite of Snow or Hail on the field to get your Ice Face back again, and using leftovers to heal any chip damage. It's the part you've all been waiting for. Time to learn who the most powerful offensive sweepers are in Cobblemon. First up, coming in is the Bug Goat himself, Scizor. Scizor is an extremely fast and hard-hitting sweeper that can let you use some super strong moves like Bullet Punch, X-Scissor, and Iron Head. Even better, you can give your Scizor Swords Dance, meaning if your opponent can't one-hit KO you, you'll be more than capable of sweeping their entire team. Give this guy a Metal Coat to hit harder, or an Aqua Berry to make sure you won't lose to any Fire-type attacks, and happy sweeping. If Sprigatito was your pick in Scarlet and Violet, you'll be more than pleased to see Meowscarada making the list. Meowscarada is an insanely strong pick. This Pokemon is a very fast and strong physical striker with moves like Flower Trick, which always deals critical hits, meaning it negates opponents' defensive stat changes, Night Slash, which also has a high critical hit chance, Play Rough for coverage against Fighting Dragon and other Dark-type Pokemon, and U-Turn just in case things get rough and you don't want to be in as Meowscarada. I'd recommend putting a Scarf on it to make sure the Pokemon always goes first, but be careful as this will lock you into the move you're using. Play smart, and Meowscarada will be a huge aid to your team. Next up, we have a pair of closely related Pokemon, Gallade and Gardevoir. Gallade is going to be your fast physical sweeper, while Gardevoir is going to be your fast special sweeper. Both of them uniquely come with awesome coverage moves to be able to hit a large amount of Pokemon for super effective damage. Gallade can use Leaf Blade, Aqua Cutter, Night Slash, Sacred Sword, and Psycho Cut to name a few. Choose the 4 moves you need the coverage for most. Give it a Choice Band to hit extra hard, and the ability Sharpness to make sure that all these moves have a 50% attack boost. Gardevoir has a very similar usage to Gallade, but excels as being a special attacking sweeper. Learning Psychic, Mystic Fire, Magical Leaf, and Moonblast, this Pokemon has insanely strong coverage. Given choice specs, it should be able to OHKO a Pokemon even with average special defense. Using both Gallade and Gardevoir on your team is a very viable option. Another powerful Gen 9 Pokemon comes in the form of Ceruledge. Ceruledge is another super strong and fast physical attacker with its signature move, Bitter Blade, as the highlight here. Teaching it other moves like Shadow Sneak and Psycho Cut are good too. The first move slot has a few options, but I personally would teach it Solar Blade to deal with any water, rock, or ground types your opponent sends in. Give this guy heavy-duty boots in order to survive enemy hazards, since Stealth Rocks can really hurt over time. The big man himself, Metagross, is finally in Cobblemon. Metagross has one of the highest base stat totals of all Pokemon in the mod right now, and it has some amazing tools to take advantage of those stats. Awesome moves like Bullet Punch, Zen Headbutt, Pursuit, and Meteor Mash with a Choice Band should do the trick. Metagross is one of your slower Pokemon on this list, so pairing it with a Baton Pass Pokemon that knows Shell Smash or Agility is a really good option. Another insanely strong special attacker comes in Typhlosion. We are not super sure how relevant Typhlosion is in today's meta, but we do know it hits like a truck. It has a rather limited learn set at this time, so Eruption, Flamethrower, and Overheat are all good options. Adding Swift for guaranteed damage on some of Fire's resistances isn't bad at all. Putting specs on it and switching in from a Baton Pass setup is a surefire way to sweep. Next up on the chopping block, get it? Chopping block? It's Aegislash. Not many of you should be surprised to see Aegislash, as it's a very versatile Pokemon. This build is an offensive build using Swords Dance, Iron Head, King Shield, and Shadow Sneak. You can use a Spell Tag or Metal Coat depending on what Pokemon you'll be faced up against. Use Swords Dance and King Shield to buff your opponents and play around their attacks, then sweep in the offensive stance. And there you have it. The best of the best in the Cobblemon meta. Huge shoutouts to Void Caller, Trico Max, Carnoa Base, Moltar, and so many more awesome members of the Cobblemon community that we've built for helping me put together this list. Come join our Cobblemon server and maybe you'll be able to use some of these Pokemon when you challenge one of our 18 gyms or in an organized tournament. Thanks for sticking through this video. Leave a like. I've been EYRIE, and you have an awesome day.